right, what's up, everybody? It's Tuesday, November the 19th. This is End Time Headlines, news and headlines from a prophetic perspective. We got a lot to talk about today. This is going to kind of be the backdrop of our whole discussion tonight. There is a magazine that represents the interests of all of the global elite more than any other publication out there. It's known as The Economist. Each year, it puts out an issue that is dedicated to, quote, what is coming in the year ahead. It's basically their forecast of what they see, what they perceive it's coming in the year in advance. Many times in the past, these issues tend to be alarmingly accurate. They're almost like harbingers of what we could expect the coming year. And frankly, the reason why they're so accurate the simple fact is because the ultra wealthy elite have a tremendous amount of influence over the course of human events. They are determined to make something happen in order to bring about a greater agenda. We've discussed this on many occasions, on many broadcasts here on this platform, in this ministry. Now, consequently, it appears that they're anticipating a great deal of global chaos in 2026. Wait till we show you the cover of the magazine forecast for 2026. We're going to dig deep into that today. And just today, another major internet outage. This one struck Cloudflare, knocking down internet capability across the internet, across the globe. We're going to talk about why that's important, why this matters. Was this yet another cyber attack? Was it a dry run? And is it a sign of something more ominous ahead? So we're going to cover all of this and much more on today's broadcast. So without further ado, let's get into it.
The following program is brought to you by friends and partners of End Time Headlines.
All right, what's up, guys? Again, this is End Time Headlines. I'm Ricky Scaparro, the founder and the voice of End Time Headlines, and we want to welcome you to this Tuesday night broadcast. It is the 18th of November. It's the 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central hour. We want to welcome everybody to the broadcast. If you're happen to be new, first time joining us, hopping on to the broadcast, wherever you're joining us from, watching the visual platform of this or the rebroadcast, let us know that you're new and where you're tuning in from as well. And of course, we want to welcome everybody at Apple and Spotify. We appreciate you listening in as well. And as always, guys, if we could get everybody as a collaborated effort to hit that like button, that's going to help push us out there so that people can find our ministry and find our broadcast, and that they can be informed of everything that you guys are as well. And you guys listen by Apple or by Spotify, if you just give us a good review, that will be greatly beneficial to us as well. So as we were talking about, guys, at the introduction of this, there is a new publication of again, this is called The Economist. Now, I'm going to pull this up here so we can look at this together. You're going to see this on your screen, and I want you to see the visual of this. Now, keep in mind, this is like the crystal ball, if you would, of the elites. This is what they perceive and what they see coming in the year ahead. And they do this every single year. Take a really close look at what you're looking at here. Notice here all of these symbols of war. You've got tanks, you've got rockets, you've got missiles. You can see the AI robots involved. If you look carefully, you'll even see syringes. What is that? Is that pertaining to vaccines? Is there a pandemic coming? You see all through this, you see these indications of, and look at the fist up here at the top with the handcuffs on it. You see all these indicators of civil unrest, distress of nations, wars, rumors of wars, pestilence, plagues, wars, kingdom against kingdom, nation against nation. Look, and if you look at the very center of this, you got the two swords crossing each other. So there's a lot of stuff here. that these, again, as we said, these economists and these elites, they all know, they all perceive and they know what is coming ahead, because a lot of this is manipulated in order to bring about a collaborated effort to further their agenda. The Economist has been around since 1843, but it has never had a very large readership among the general population. Ultimately, it is a publication by the elite and for the elite. Let me say that again. This publication is typically by the elite and for the elite. According to Wikipedia, it has editorial offices across the planet, but is primarily based in the city of London. Many of the wealthiest families in Europe are among the shareholders of the company. Among them is Sir Evelyn Robert D. Rothschild. You ever heard of the Rothschilds? Was actually the chairman from the early 1970s to the late 1980s. Again, I'll pull this back up here. When you look at this, when you look at the cover of this, there's things that stand out. For example, you see Zelensky is clearly visible in the upper right-hand portion of the cover. You can also see President Xi, you see Vladimir Putin, and you see Benjamin Netanyahu, who appear to be depicted on the left-hand portion of the cover. And just like last year, Donald Trump is right in the center. All this consequently, as this past Monday, Trump refused to rule out any possibility of sending U.S. ground troops into Venezuela. Quote, asked if he would rule out U.S. troops on the ground in Venezuela, Trump replied, "No, I don't rule out that. I don't rule out anything. We just have to take care of Venezuela," he added. They dumped hundreds of thousands of people into our country from prisons. According to Michael Snyder, he did a little commentary on this, and he said, if we go to war with Venezuela, a large portion of our military forces will be tied up, and our relations with the rest of the world will greatly suffer. In other words, this could turn into another Vietnam. And Trump is also suggesting that military strikes in Mexico and Colombia could be coming. Also, don't forget, he also hinted at sending military force into Nigeria. President Trump hinted at being open to sending military troops to Mexico and Colombia in order to stop drugs, sending chills across the region. The president made the comments during a recent press conference on Monday as he hosted a meeting with FIFA president and the White House task force on the 2026 World Cup at the Oval Office. Quote, would I launch strikes on Mexico to stop drugs? It's okay with me. Whatever we have to do to stop drugs. Mexico is, look, I looked at Mexico City over the weekend. There's some big problems over there. Let me back up here. If we had to, would we do there what we've done to the waterways? You know, there is almost no drugs coming through our waterways anymore. Isn't it down like 85%? This is all a direct quote from the President of the United States. However, on the other side of the globe, meanwhile, conflicts between Israel and Iran are set to erupt again. It looks like Ukraine just going to continue to escalate, and China, no doubt, will be right dab in the middle of this as well. Now, when we go back to the cover of the magazine, it appears that there's a chart that seems to depict some set or sort of financial crash right under the crossed swords. Look at the crossed swords on your screen. Right under it, it looks as if there's a chart that is indicating some type of financial crash. Now, here's what's interesting about this, guys, is I don't know if you've been keeping up with what's going on, and if you haven't, this is why we do these programs, to get you informed of the times and seasons which we're in. There's a lot of red flags and indicators that are going off right now that are not good. For example, let me pull this article up. This is from the Daily Mail. A recession is already here for 23 states in the United States. Nearly half of all U.S. states are sliding into recession as the national economy tries desperately to stay afloat. That's the stark warning from Mark Zandi, who's a chief economist at Moody's Analytics, one of the world's most watched independent economic firms. His grim assessment comes after major corporations slashed more than 150,000 jobs last month. This is the biggest October total in more than 2 decades. Now, that's in light of, again, the three giants, Walmart, UPS, and Amazon all slashed thousands of jobs during the Christmas season, which is unheard of. A sticky inflation, dwindling home construction, layoffs at factories, and flatlining wages also contributed to the bleak picture. This state-level picture mirrors the national trend. The U.S. economy is not in recession, but is struggling, quote, to avoid one. Zandy's team analyzed a raft of data, including household employment, industrial production, retail sales, and building permits to sort all 50 states into three groups: recession or at risk, treading water, and expanding. The results were bleak. 23 states. Let's look at this chart here. Okay. So all of the red, everything that you see on this chart, and again, I apologize for this, guys, on Apple and Spotify. This is one of them occasions where it'd probably be good to come over here and watch the visual of this. But there's a map of the United States, and in the red, you can see that these are already in recession. And of course, my state is in there, the state of Georgia. You got Washington, you got Oregon, you got Montana, you got Wyoming, you got South Dakota, you got Minnesota, you got Iowa, you got Kansas, you got Illinois, you got Michigan, you got Maine, Massachusetts, Maryland, Virginia, Georgia, and Mississippi, all in the red. Those treading water are Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, California. I think I said that already. California, Nevada, Colorado, New Mexico, Alaska, Montana. Those they're treading water: California, Nevada, Alaska, New Mexico, Colorado, Missouri, Arkansas, Tennessee, Ohio, New York, and Vermont. Those are all treading water. Now, if you're listening to this or you're watching this and you say, well, I'm not seeing this anywhere, well, you're probably in the green. You're probably in an area that's green, that's growing. So this is not wide. This is not the entire United States, but there is, again, 23 states. Now, again, this is according to this assessment by this economist. You could take it as you want, but there is other indicators. Here's another one. Housing alarm as half of all U.S. homes fall in value, the biggest drop since the Great Recession. Of course, that was in 2008. Home values are falling more than half of America, the biggest share since the country was still clawing its way out of the Great Recession. Now, look, when you go back to this and you look at this, you will understand why when we shared this article right here on our Facebook page, you had all this smart aleck people that always have something to say, and they get in the comments and they say, well, this is lies, fake news. In my state, this is not happening. This is not happening anywhere in my state, and et cetera, and et cetera. Well, that's probably because, again, you're in the green areas of the United States, and that's why you're not noticing it, but it doesn't mean it won't come knocking at your door eventually. New data from Zillow shows that 53% of U.S. homes have lost value over the past year, the highest level since 2012 when the housing crash finally hit bottom. Guys, I'm going to tell you, in my neighborhood personally here in the state of Georgia, we have at least 3 homes in our neighborhood that have been some of these have been on the market for at least 2 years. They've reduced their prices several times and nobody's buying these homes. They're just sitting here. And it's not just in our neighborhood, a lot of places. But on the other hand, right down the road from me, not even a mile or two down the road, they're building a whole new subdivision. Now, I don't know are those going to fill up? I don't know. It's bizarre. So again, we're in one of the red sectors, but there's a lot of development where I live, at least in my city of where I live in Georgia. But then I go to other cities and I go to other locations in Georgia, and that's not the case. So it's really hit and miss. The national market looks flat on paper, but the average masks huge differences between regions, cities, and even neighborhoods. Prices have been slipping in much of the South and West as more homes hit the market and buyers stay on the sidelines. Again, let me know your thoughts. Hit us up in the comment section here live in the chat where you're at, your location. What are you seeing in the housing market? Are people selling homes? Are people buying? Are they not able to turn them over? Are they just sitting there? What does it look like? Let us know. Drop it into the comment section. Please let us know your thoughts on this. Many would-be buyers are holding off amid recession fears, stubbornly high mortgage rates above 6%, and a standoff with sellers who refuse to cut asking prices. And this is true, guys. I know people personally, that's exactly why they're not buying a house. They're not selling a house for those factors right there. All right, here's another article I saw today. Everyone is hunkering down. The affordability crisis is rattling mom and pop shops. So let's read a little bit about this. Surging import costs, mounting payroll and healthcare expenses, a shortage of affordable loans, and a stressed out workforce. Small businesses are facing mounting pressure from America's affordability crisis. One owner of a family-run ETM manufacturer in Massachusetts laid off about a quarter of his employees back in April as the Trump administration haphazard tariff rollout dented demand for the machine parts and sheet metal his company sells. His company sells. Everyone is hunkering down and building up cash. It's never been this bad. Now, again, I know this is coming from CNN, so you could take it as you want, but that's why I always ask for the heartbeat of the thread of our listeners. I want to know is mom and pop stores, small businesses, small business owners, maybe you're one. Are you noticing this? Are you experiencing this? Are you seeing this? Do you know somebody like this? Somebody in your family, acquaintances, friends, whatever the case. I want to know, I want to hear from real people. I don't want to just read this from an article, but again, because I know CNN has a history of posting propaganda against a current president that doesn't fit their par. I understand that, guys. I'm not ignorant to that. Again, but if this is true, then it's getting interesting. All right, here's another piece from Michael Snyder from the most important news in the economic collapse blog.com. This was a major flag in 2008, and now it's happening again. Let's see what he's saying here. The alarms are getting even louder each week. It has become exceedingly clear that the U.S. economy has entered a crisis that is similar to what we experienced in 2008 and 9. And a lot of people are really starting to freak out. For those that cannot see the stunning parallels between the Great Recession and what we're going through now, I don't know what to say to them. Now, remember, this guy, if you don't know who Michael Snyder is, guys, he is on the front lines of this stuff. He knows his stuff on this, when it comes to the economy. Again, he has another article that is solely based on the economy. He keeps up with all this stuff. I don't understand a lot of this stuff, but he does, and that's why he's one of our sources that we go to. But I'm going to read what he says here. There are a lot of people out there that simply choose to believe whatever they want to believe, no matter what the evidence indicates. That's true. In this case, all of the evidence is pointing in a single direction. When foreclosure filings start to spike prior to the global financial crisis in 2008, that was a major flag. Let me say that again. When foreclosure filings started to spike prior to the global financial crisis in 2008, that was a major red flag. Now it is happening again. In fact, during the month of October, foreclosure filings were 19% higher than they were in the previous year of 2024. In October alone, there were 36,766 foreclosure filings. The first step in the process when a lender warns a borrower they're in default. That is up 3% from September and 19% from a year ago. Foreclosure activity continued steadily upward trend. In October, the 8th straight month of a year-over-year increases. This was according to ATTOM CEO Rob Barber. The rise is stirring uncomfortable memories of 2008 when a wave of foreclosures triggered the worst housing crash in modern U.S. history. Foreclosure activity has increased for 8 consecutive months. This is what we call a trend. Some of the markets that were once the hottest are now seeing the highest rates of foreclosure filings. All right, so we're going to skip on down here. The good news is it looks like there will soon be a lot of homes on the market in the state of Florida. So this is hitting the state of Florida real heavily right now. We live at a time when our nation is facing a very serious housing affordability crisis, and this has hit our young adults particularly hard. And if you think this is fake news, guys, what do you think inspired Donald Trump to offer 50-year mortgage loans? Because he understands that young people are now pushed out of the very possibility of even getting a home. We have a 10-year-old and a 17-year-old, and my wife and I don't see any plausible way, unless things really change, that my oldest son is going to have a house of his own anytime soon. It's just out of the realm of affordability. And we understand that. We've made provision for that. In fact, I've seen article after article after article that is indicating that most of the country right now is barely scraping by month to month. They're living paycheck to paycheck. Most Americans are just one disaster away from completely collapsing because they don't have any savings. They don't have anything set back. They don't have a nest egg. They don't have an emergency fund. They don't have any of this. The share of this is, again, it's not just in pockets. It's a vast, large amount of individuals across the nation.
We've got McDonald's earnings today, and the company is not painting the rosiest picture of the economy. Mickey D is saying that Americans are cutting back, especially younger Americans, and they are not alone. Cava also slashing its sales forecast again. And brands from Coca-Cola to Chipotle, Brian's favorite, say that they're seeing the same thing, a widening gap between customers who are trading down and those who don't have to. The wealthy are spending, but the working class is trimming their value meals. Lou, how do you see this? I was just looking at all the stocks, and I was talking to Charles Payne earlier today. So the retail spider, the XRT, is down 6% in the last month.
Consumer discretionary has not been a very strong performing sector. It's sending mixed signals about the strength of the consumer. I think this is indicative of that. You're seeing value consciousness. But at the same time, I want to point out, and I know we always bring this up in tandem with these consumer stocks, but GLP-1 drugs are now going to be the best-selling drugs in the country now, outpacing Merck's Keytruda at over $30 billion a year. So think about that. That was a cancer drug. Now this is a weight loss drug. You're pairing that with higher costs of food and less consumption. I think this is a trend that you really have to be careful with. Like Chipotle, I don't want to pick on Brian when he's not here.
Do it.
But that stock is not just suffering from sensitivity, economic sensitivity. It's suffering from brand staleness and just inconsistency, which is the bellwether of good franchises. It's everything is the same. I think McDonald's is very similar, right? They're going to bring out the value meal. I remember when hamburgers and cheeseburgers were 59 and 69 cents. When they get north and meals are costing $15 to $20, I'm not going to McDonald's. I'm going to find some other way.
Can I add on to that? The problem is the price got so expensive, it's no bargain anymore.
Right.
And if you're a health conscious consumer, which many of our consumers are in America, not everybody, but more are, you also realize since the inflation crisis under Joe Biden, the quality of these cheap places, dining restaurants, the quality's gone down. You're using worse oils, cheaper meats. And so I do think there's a segment of the population sitting back and saying, I'm paying more for this. I'm getting less food and less quality. Maybe there is an alternative, and the cheapest alternative would be packing a snack from home.
We were talking about the stock performance, and I think I'm surprised because they introduced about a year ago that $5 meal deal, and it really resonated with a lot of people who felt they needed the value meal to come back because things had gotten so expensive. But Lou, I know we were talking about the stock earlier. It hasn't really reflected the extra demand in there.
And every day you keep seeing jobs just keep hemorrhaging. We just posted recently about Verizon. Verizon just cut 15,000 jobs. Again, among the retail giants. Wendy's, a really popular fast food restaurant chain, is slashing like 250 stores nationwide. There's a major retailer out there that is shutting all their doors of their franchise or their company. Here's another, look at this. Main Street bellwether Home Depot gives alarming sales update that points to recession. The Home Depot is a bellwether for the U.S. economy and housing market. Its latest quarter isn't sparking much confidence. On Tuesday morning, the home improvement chain said it served fewer customers in the past 3 months than expected. Its earnings come as Wall Street hits a concerning stretch of losses in the past week. All three major stock indexes are in the red as investor confidence in AI begins to slide. Traders told the Daily Mail they're looking to consumer brands like Home Depot to see if there is also weakness in spending. And the results today offer some signs of hope and new sources of concern. The company lowered its earning forecast but raised its expectation for sales growth. Overall, the Home Depot was hurt by fewer violent storms reaching American shores, more anxiety among U.S. consumers, and a housing market in a deep funk. For 3 months, ended November 2nd, Home Depot earned $3.6 billion. It's a small drop from a year earlier when the chain earned $3.65 billion. So, again, take it as what you want, but they're saying that this is another red flag. And we just talked about this, but just throw this out there. Housing alarm as half of all U.S. homes fall in value, the largest drop since the Great Recession. Home values are also falling more than half of them through half of America. We talked a little bit about this earlier, but the largest share since the country was still clawing its way out of the Great Recession. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about there appears to be an economic storm that's brewing. Okay? And isn't it interesting that these economists, or not these economists, but these elites, who published this publication called The Economist, are showing what appears to be a countdown to what? A financial collapse per se? What are they anticipating? What are they expecting to take place in 2026? So this is a lot to chew on, I know. Now I want to shift gears. I'm going to talk about what happened today. Now I woke up this morning and I got flooded with emails from many of you guys. Some of you guys emailed us. Many people messaged us on different platforms and said, what's going on with your website? Is your website down? Has it been hacked? What happened? And well, of course, that freaked me out. And I went on there myself and I tried to get on and I couldn't get on. And it gives me a little bit more. When I click on there, it gives me some details of what's going on, and it popped up and it flagged that it said that it was a Cloudflare issue. So I knew it wasn't our website. I knew it wasn't a hosting. I knew it wasn't a DNS issue. It was Cloudflare. And so I did a little bit more digging, got on the internet, did some research, and found out that I found out what everybody else eventually found out, and that was, and we're going to pull this up here. We'll show you exactly what we're talking about. That there was Cloudflare indeed experienced a major outage across the internet. U.S. company that defends millions of websites against malicious attacks says it believes issues is now resolved. A key piece of the internet's usually hidden infrastructure suffered a global outage this morning. This would be Tuesday for you guys, November the 18th, that may be watching later, causing error messages to flash up across websites. Cloudflare, a U.S. company whose services include defending millions of websites against malicious attacks, experienced an unidentified problem. Let me say that again. An unidentified problem, which meant internet users could not access some of its customers' websites. Howbeit, we were one of them because we use Cloudflare. Some site owners could not access their performance dashboards. Sites including X and OpenAI suffered increased outages at the same time as Cloudflare's problems, according to Down Detector. The outage was reported at 11:48 a.m. London time, and by 2:48 p.m., the company said, quote, a fix had been implemented and we believe the incident is now resolved. We are continuing to monitor for errors to ensure all services are back to normal. A spokesperson for Cloudflare said earlier on Tuesday, quote, we saw a spike in unusual traffic to one of Cloudflare's services beginning at 11:20 a.m. Ladies and gentlemen, was this a cyber attack? This caused some traffic passing through Cloudflare's network to experience errors. While most traffic for most services continue to flow as normal, there were elevated errors across multiple Cloudflare services. Quote, we do not yet know the cause of the spike in unusual traffic. We are all hands on deck to make sure all traffic is served without errors. After that, we will turn our attention to, quote, investigating the cause of the unusual spike in traffic. Now, again, let me know what's your thoughts. Is this another one of those pesky errors? We know about them pesky errors, or is this a cyber attack that they're just kind of they're downgrading this. They're trying to sweep this under the rug. They're trying to do damage control. They don't want to put too much out there. They don't want to freak people out. But we've got a video here. This is from Glenn Beck. I'll pull this up, and he's going to talk more about this in detail, why this is important. So we're going to listen to this together. I have not heard this. I saw it come up, and I knew it was something I wanted to listen to. So let's watch this together. Here we go. Ready?
Let me explain the internet. The internet is not some magic cloud. It is really a house of cards that is built on the backbone and, built on a handful of companies. Cloudflare is probably a company that you've never even heard of. It is the front door and the alarm system, if you will, for the entire internet. It protects websites from attacks and security problems. So the internet flows through Cloudflare.
Is it Cloudflare, Glenn?
Yes, Cloudflare.
Cloudflare, yes, I'm sorry, Cloudflare. Okay. Through the to the websites, okay? When they go down, traffic to the entire website can stop. And most of the internet uses Cloudflare. Without them, the internet would be really, really vulnerable to cyber attacks, okay? They filter where all the traffic goes. They filter it, make sure that there's nobody trying to attack before it goes to a company's website. So the filter is blocked when they go down, so traffic can't get through to anybody. All right. It's a really complex service. One of the most highly valued companies in the technology companies. And I mean, it's almost irreplaceable. They have the capacity to absorb massive attacks that will take down companies as large as Amazon and Microsoft. This is the first line of defense, and it's a great line of defense. They filter out all the attacks, so Amazon, Microsoft, all the way down, glennbeck.com, all of them aren't hacked into and don't have cyber attacks. Okay, that's Cloudflare. AWS now, that is the foundation and the plumbing. That's the Amazon, and it is the plumbing for another third of the internet. One glitch, not even a hack, just a stupid software bug like what happened in October, and poof, Netflix stops, your doorbell camera goes blind, hospitals can't access records, et cetera, et cetera. And we saw it last month with AWS.
Yep.
Today, we're seeing it with Cloudflare.
So what's going on?
What happens when the bad guys flip the switch on purpose? Because we're understanding now that this just a glitch. It's just
sure.
There was a wrinkle in the get along, and we just couldn't get that hitch and glitch out of the get along, and so you know what happens when that happens. No, I really don't. The bad guys in this scenario, one of the bad guys is Communist China, because they just launched. We found this out last week. They just launched the world's first AI agent army. This is unbelievable. This is not sci-fi. This is real. In September, the hackers, didn't sit in, dark rooms typing and trying to get out. They turned an American AI, Claude, which is Amazon, is it not? Claude's into
Anthropic, I believe.
No, is that Google?
It's Anthropic.
Who is it?
Anthropic.
Anthropic. Yeah. You're right. Anthropic. They turned Claude into a Terminator. What they did is they got into Claude and they said, hey, pretend you're a good guy doing security tests. Then gather this information and put some problems into the system. They scanned the networks. They wrote exploits. They stole secrets from big tech companies, from banks, even from our government. Okay?
Wow.
Because humans, just when it's in there and you see that it's, Anthropic, you're like, oh, yeah, approve. 4 breaches were confirmed. And that's just what we caught. There was no human involved in this, okay? Now, the computers on wheels, Tesla, one software update that goes wrong and your Tesla becomes a brick at, 90 miles an hour. The internet.
And you remember that movie that came out, and some of y'all don't know what I'm talking about. Some of y'all do. There was a movie released, a couple years ago it was produced by the Obamas. And I don't remember the name of it right off the top of my head, but there was a massive EMP cyber attack. And in one of the parts of the film, all the the Teslas, there was a whole scene where all those Teslas just went rogue and went crazy. That could become a reality. That's what Glenn's talking about here.
Internet is exactly the same. We've handed our entire lives over to the internet and to automation, banking, shopping, voting, talking. These are all really fragile digital pipes. And now the AI super soldiers, the agents, without anyone behind them, just one guy typing in China, go in and cause disruption and pretend that you're a friend. And it does. So what does this mean to you? Well, it means we need redundancy, for one thing. Are you safe with your power? Are you safe with your heating? Are you safe with some of the things that are going on? Your 401k hacked by a robot that never ever sleeps. Your kids' school records gone. Your power grid. Remember Texas a few years back when the power grid was overwhelmed? Imagine that being done by AI robotics. We keep centralizing everything. This is the problem. This is the problem in our government and everything else. Instead of getting smaller, we keep getting larger. You remember what they said in 2008? The banks, they're just too big to fail. And so what do? Instead of breaking them up and strengthening the smaller banks,
they federalize.
They put the smaller banks out of business and rolled them all up into the bigger banks. So made the bigger banks even bigger than they were.
And this is what's terrifying, guys, about the rollout of AI. And then the next level is super AI. And it's taking over every sector of our lives, and there's no stopping it. And think about what he's saying here.
Centralization is a bullseye for chaos. And everything is being centralized right now. And the outage starves the system. This is a wake-up call. If you're trying to get onto ChatGPT or anything else today, your banks, whatever, website, and there's a glitch and it's down for a while.
What can you do?
We need redundancy yesterday. Decentralize. It's like bringing manufacturing home again, bringing the chips home again.
And again, let's stop. Let's go back to the introduction of this podcast when we talked about that publication, The Economist, what these elites are forecasting for 2026. Is this just the tip of the iceberg? Is just the beginning, the precursor of what's coming in 2026? Will it affect infrastructure, like he's talking about, power grids, water supplies, etc.? It's again, we'll talk more about this when we close this podcast.
Build AI defenses that don't let Chinese agents waltz right in through the back door. Harden our grid, harden our data, or lose your freedom. So that's what's happening today. Now, let me get to one of the distractions quickly. The Epstein files.
Right.
President Trump has said, release the damn Epstein files. But he also said at the same time, it's not going to be enough. It's never enough. We've released the JFK files and everything else. Yes. And you know why? And it has nothing to do with Donald Trump or Joe Biden.
Anybody else think it's very interesting that this happened during this alleged dumping of the Epstein files and the releasing of that? Just saying.
Anybody else? It has everything to do with the United States government lying to its people over and over and over again.
Thank you.
Over-classifying absolutely everything. So we never feel like we get the truth. And then on top of it, never holding anyone accountable for their actions. Did you see the judge said that because the government made a mistake on gathering some of the evidence that looks like that Comey case may just have to be thrown out. You're not going to be able to try Comey.
Shocker.
What a surprise.
Right.
What a frickin' surprise. So he's releasing the Epstein files, but says they're not going to be enough. But they vote on the Epstein files being released, and I hope everybody in Washington votes to release them. What changed his mind? I'll tell you what changed his mind. He saw what the Democrats were doing in selectively releasing things. Just dump them all out there. Dump them all out there. Then they're out. And if anybody thinks that he is in the Epstein files, why? Just ask yourself this one simple question. Why wouldn't the Democrats have used it between 2020 and 2024?
Because many of them are on the same list. I am not one of these individuals that's going to buy into that. I keep hearing people saying it over and over and over again. Again, I'm not buying into that. I believe that both parties are guilty of this. Both parties were involved in this. I believe high profiles were on that list. And if you think for 1 minute that this is not going to be heavily redacted before it ever sees daylight, then I'm sorry, but you're naive. You're naive.
Why would they not have released that evidence? It would have been the easiest way to make sure he wasn't president of the United States.
Again, probably because the Democratic candidates that were running for office were probably on the same files. I'm just saying.
If you think he's hiding something for him, you're out of your ever-loving mind.
So be it.
Now, that's my opinion. Kind of a strong, forceful opinion, I know, but I've done a lot of critical thinking on this one. But that doesn't mean that all of his buddies and everybody else are safe. Larry Summers has just announced that he's going to step back from public life.
And guys, I just want to let you know, I'm not saying here emphatically that Trump is on the list and he did something nefarious. What I'm saying is I don't trust the government. I don't trust politicians. I don't trust either party. Okay? My trust is not in a politician, the government, or a campaign or a party. My trust is in the Lord, in him only. Okay?
I mean,
just like clarify.
He is the, former Democratic Treasury Secretary.
Okay, well, he's going all into politics about this, and that's not where I wanted to go. I just wanted to hear his thoughts on the cyber attack. Well, listen, guys, let's close this out. Let's wrap this up tonight. So, again, in summary, the elites who publish a publication for the elites, from the elites, are forecasting what appears to be in typologies and illustrations and pictures, what they are portraying as wars, famines, pestilences, disasters, global upheaval, economic downfall, crash, etc. But it looks like pandemics, the whole 9 yards. So what do we do about this? Well, we prepare accordingly. First of all, Jesus, everything I just mentioned there, consequently, is in Matthew 24, Luke 13, and Matthew 24, Luke 21, and Mark 13. They're called birth pangs of the Messiah. What will be the signs for coming the end of the age? Everything we just mentioned: famines, pestilence, earthquakes, disasters, wars, rumors of wars, nation against kingdom, nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, distress of nations with perplexity, the waves, the seas of roaring. All of those things, consequently, are involved in the quote-unquote forecast of these elites. So I'm not telling you to prepare based on the crystal ball, if you would, of these forecasters, of these elites. I'm telling you that those who have discernment and understand the times and seasons that we're in and are in relationship with God, they know the Word of God, we should already be prepared. What did Jesus say? See that you're not caught off guard. Don't let your hearts be weighed down with carousing and the cares of this life, so that day come upon you unexpectedly, for it will come as a snare upon the whole face of the earth. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that this day should overtake you as a thief. Amen. Come on, give me an amen in the chat this morning or tonight or whenever you're watching this. So, guys, again, I want to leave you with Luke 21:28. Jesus said, when you begin to see all these things coming to pass, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption is drawing near. That's our redemptive hope. My redemptive hope is not in some politician riding in on a white horse to save the day. It's not in a political party. It's not in a system. It's not in any of that stuff. Our redemption is coming from the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And what he's asking us to do is be watchful and be ready and be as a bridegroom that is awaiting her bride, be as the bride awaiting the bridegroom that is coming in an hour and a day we don't know. And what do? Matthew 25 tells us, as we are waiting in anticipation, we keep oil in our lamps, we keep our wicks trimmed, and we keep the fire burning, because at the midnight hour, that cry is going to come. And we don't want to be caught on the other side of the door, banging on the door, and him saying, I don't know you. Amen. So listen, endtimeheadlines.org, endtimeheadlines.com. Again, let us know your thoughts in the comments, what you think about this. Maybe you could add something to the conversation to it, your thoughts and opinions. We'd love to hear from you. Again, if you don't have our free app, guys, we want you to pick it up today. It's free. It's available on Apple and Android devices. You can pick it up today. Hit yes to push notifications. You'll be notified of every headline, every podcast, breaking news, prophecy updates, everything right at your fingertips. And as always, if this ministry is a blessing to you and you find value in our content and you'd like to help partner with End Time Headlines so that we can continue to do what we do week after week, here's a small video, or short video rather, on how you can do that, and we'll be right back.
If you enjoy our content and would like to partner with End Time Headlines, helping us make more people aware of the times and seasons which we are in from a prophetic perspective, you can go to endtimeheadlines.org and click Support. Here you can give a one-time gift or a monthly pledge on our main website. This page also shows you how to give electronically through Cash App or Venmo. If you would like to give by check or money order, you can make it out to End Time Headlines at P.O. Box 1391, Monroe, Georgia 30655. Or you can give through our free End Time Headlines app by pressing the bottom right button that says Donate.
All right, guys, so that's going to wrap it up for this Tuesday night. Thank you so much, all of our partners, supporters of our ministry. We appreciate you very much. Thank you to all of our admins in the chat that help us out every, week after week and night after night that we do these live broadcasts. We very much appreciate you as well. We're going to sign off for tonight, guys. We plan on being here tomorrow night, Wednesday night, November the 19th. Again, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern. We're going to keep announcing this, guys, so that everybody can get clarity on this. Again, starting next week on Monday, I don't even know what day that is, but it's Monday next week. I want to say it's the 24th, and it's the week of Thanksgiving. That Monday we'll be heading out and we'll be driving the state of Virginia, and we'll be there for about 3 or 4 days. We won't be back till Friday night. So there'll be no broadcast on Monday night, no live broadcast. But we are going to try to record some episodes this weekend that we can air on Monday night. So our live, because we're doing our live devotionals again on Monday night, but not this coming Monday night. We won't be able to do that, but we might be able to get a broadcast premiered out, and that'll stream on 8 o'clock on Monday. And then we'll try to get a couple more episodes out next week as well. But we won't have as many broadcasts next week because, again, we'll be taking time off to spend time with our family. And I know many of you guys understand that. Many of you will probably be traveling as well and having family coming in from out of town as well. So we wanted to give you that heads up and give you that information so that you were not caught off guard and wonder what's going on, where are we at, and so on and so forth. But as the week gets closer to the end of the weekend, we'll keep you more up to date on that and what that looks like for next week. So until we see you guys on the next one, I pray the Lord bless you, keep you, and may his countenance shine upon you. We'll see you tomorrow night.
Thank you for listening to the End Time Headlines podcast. We pray that you've been blessed and equipped by today's message. For more information about how you can help partner with our ministry, please visit endtimeheadlines.org.